It's not the coronavirus we need to be worried about. It's processed foods and what they do to our bodies. So I think it's time for me to discuss the problems I have with indigestion. So we're going to head into the kitchen, my kitchen, and discuss this further. Well, hi and welcome to my kitchen. Having a discussion today about diet. Now for 30 odd years I've suffered from indigestion, heartburn, gastric reflux. And what started that off was taking tablets the wrong way. Had an infection in my knee, went to the doctors, thought he said take one tablet twice a day before meals. After a week I realised that something wasn't right with these tablets. I read the bottle, it said after meals. But too late, damage had been done, and for the last 30 odd years I have suffered pretty badly. Now what made me change my attitude towards food was I had a cold and I got a sore throat instantly. Wouldn't go away. Now normally I use Manuka honey and it works within 3 days. Keep taking it for a whole week and it just disappears. But it wouldn't go away. The Manuka honey wouldn't work. So I had to go to the doctors, see what was going on. Gave me some antibiotics and off I went. A week later, they have not done any good at all. It's still exactly the same. So I went back to the doctors, had a different doctor this time, Catherine, and she said, if the antibiotics haven't worked, I want you to think outside the square. Do you suffer from indigestion? And of course the answer was yes. She said, I think what's happening is you're getting stomach acid spraying up into your throat. So you're not feeling it in your esophagus. So normally you would get reflux, you'd feel it, and it's horrible tasting coming up in your mouth. But this is spraying. And I thought, oh, rubbish, I don't get that. But then it occurred to me, for probably about 5 or 6 years before this, I start getting a bit of a dry throat when I'm exerting myself at work. So working really hard, all of a sudden my throat's dry and it feels a bit funny. Doesn't sting, but it's kind of getting there. So this sort of clicked in my head all of a sudden. That makes sense. So that's what I'm getting. I'm getting spraying up into my mouth. So it was pretty or much my stomach telling me if I don't do something about my eating habits right now, this is going to be permanent, spraying up into my mouth with acid and probably more things. Over the years, I've been listening to people talking about diets and blah, 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 and I'd already worked out what I should be doing. So what we've done is cut this table down right here. They represent all the processed foods. I got rid of all that stuff, including bread, because I thought bread, pastries were a big part of the problem, and they certainly were. So I don't have these anymore, and the only reason this small amount's here, representing processed foods and meats and that as well, is because of my son. Still living at home, and that's what he has. So all on this side is what I eat. Veggies, pumpkin, sweet pumpkin and sweet potato make up a fair bulk of my weekly meals, along with the greens, potatoes, onions, lots of fruit, whatever's in season, dates, things like that. The only processed stuff that we normally buy, and these are organic, no crap in them, no preservatives at all. Otherwise, we're not buying it. And it's the same with the coconut milk. So anyway, this is what I have. I still have a bit of dairy, eggs, and yogurt, Greek yogurt. It's the only one I have. The only cheese I have is feta, no others. So we went on this diet with having salads, roast veggies or steamed veggies, which were part of my diet anyway. But none of this stuff. No breads, no pastries, no cakes, no biscuits, anything like that. All gone out of my diet. Within 2 weeks, I'm noticing a big difference with my stomach because I'm not getting the gas pain. It was so much pressure in my stomach some days. I'd get phantom pains around my body, like under my shoulder blades, felt like I had bubbles in there. And that's because the gas is putting pressure on nerves. So phantom pains all over the place, around my heart, whatever. So that's subsiding very quickly. At the end of 3 weeks, it's pretty well almost gone. By the end of the month, no pain at all. And my original pain daily would be out of 10, 8 to 6. Within 2 months, I'm starting to rewire my brain. What I mean is when I'm looking at this stuff now, I see poison. Take your baked beans, for instance. Sugar, salt, preservatives. They're all poison. I don't add any salt to any of my food. Actually, from when I've become an adult and got my own house and started having kids, we didn't put salt into any of the foods because we knew that they're in these. The average diet would be just what I've got here, and you would cook up veggies, you'd put salt on them. And if you had a steak or something like that, you'd put salt on them. Then you would add baked beans or some other processed food to add with it, doubling up your salt again. Then I won't cut salt right out of the diet because occasionally there are things that you use that are some processed things. Add a bit of salt into your diet anyway. When I see margarine, I see a block of fat and it makes me feel sick. That's how much I've rewired my brain. I can't stand the sight of it. I have no want for these at all. I used to eat a lot of bread. I'd come home from work, have 2 slices of toast with jam or Vegemite on. Heavy in salt, heavy in sugar. Piece of cake, biscuits. Sugar, sugar, sugar. So rewiring your brain, if you can do it, I guess I was lucky. I still, after 14 months, can't stand the sight of this stuff. There is an immense amount of things you can do to make a lot of flavour out of very basic stuff. I have a little bit of meat, maybe once every 2 months or less, because I think it's necessary in a diet, but not every day, not every week, just maybe once every couple of months. To get that iron in and a little bit of fat, I think we, as human beings, we can't go without it. That's what I believe anyway. The big problem is though, we can control our diet at home, but it's when we leave the house that big problems start happening. Our choices go downhill. Restaurants, all those sort of places, go through the menus. Damn it, there's nothing here for me. Don't want to starve, so I'll have roast of the day. Enough bloody talking. Let's get into making some meals. Show you some choices to get started with. You need good, flavoursome meals to get yourself started with so you get hooked and you stick on it. What I have for breakfast is porridge, plain, or sometimes I'll put honey on it. And also maybe I'll have muesli that I've made up myself, so there's no crap there to make us feel horrible during the day. So just make it up myself, chuck a bit of fruit on like bananas, something like that, and maybe throw a bit of honey on and a bit of yogurt. Now to wash it all down with, because I'm going to sound like a hypochondriac here, but I'm not, I have an allergy to citric acid. Makes me feel a little drugged. I sweat just around the face, and I'll get a headache if I have a good dose of it, like eating lollies. It's got heaps of citric acid in it. I'll get a headache pretty quickly, a dull headache. So it's not a nice experience, so I avoid citric acid, and that leaves me with not a lot of choices. But what I prefer is to make up my own sort of a lemonade, and that is maple syrup, 100% pure, no additives, no sugars. No sugar added, I should say. And soda water. It tastes like sarsaparilla. Well, to me it does anyway. It's very close flavour to it. Right, for lunch, which is what I'm having right now, I've cooked up some couscous. You can flavour if you like. I'm just using plain today, plain couscous. I don't mind it. I reckon it's got a nice flavour. Chopped up some lettuce and some baby spinach, even amount. I'm going to chuck that on top. Now I haven't got any roast pumpkin at the minute. Instead, I'm using some black beans and some pine nuts for a bit of crunch, some feta cheese, and we are done. That's a tasty, tasty meal. There are so many variations of this, but the idea is that it's quick, easy and tasty without adding salt or any other things, just natural ingredients. We don't have to have the rice if we don't like it, or the couscous. We can take that out and simply have the lettuce and the spinach. We need the spinach because we're taking meat out of our diet. We need some iron, very important. And we can add the beans if you want. Normally I use chickpeas, but I've run out, so I'm using the black beans at the minute for today's meal. But your chickpeas and your roast pumpkin, have it like that if you like. I usually chuck some sultanas on it. If I had tomatoes, I'd be throwing them on as well, chop them up into little pieces. Oh man, there's so many things you could do with this, but it's a tasty, tasty meal. It's time to make some dinner, and I've got a very tasty, simple meal for you to start off with. So I'm going to roast up some pumpkin. Then I'm going to chop up some onions and put them in the fry pan. No oil, just let them caramelise by themselves, get some taste out of them. Then I'm going to throw in some chickpeas and add some tomato paste. Now this one has salt in it. This is what I mean by every now and then getting salt out of some processed food. But there's nothing else in there. It's no added poisons like preservatives or sugar or anything like that. So we'll cook that up. Then I'm going to cook some couscous, but first off I'm going to crush up a bit of garlic, put that in the saucepan, just cook that for a couple of seconds until it starts to go dark. Some couscous into a pan with water, get that going, add the garlic into that, add a bit of taste. I'm going to fry up with no oil some champignons and mushrooms, and then we're going to throw it all together and chuck a whole heap of baby spinach in there, and you have got yourself an awesome meal. Nice, tasty, and yeah, satisfying to the stomach. Another simple one is a curry that I love, but I've got to be careful with because it burns my gut. Now, I haven't got this particular curry paste that I buy, but I'll put the name up here, and how we start off with it is with some red onions, chop them up, put it in the fry pan. I'll throw in that curry paste so that that can cook up a little bit and release all its flavour. Then I'm going to add 2 tins of the coconut milk. Now I'm using 2 tins because I'm going to make enough for 4 people. So I'm going to throw in some chickpeas again, champignons as well with that. But this is one that we can throw in any vegetable we like. Yeah, it's up to you. You can dress it up with cashews, chuck in some sultanas, pumpkin seeds, whatever you want to do. Green peas, anything. So once that's started cooking, you brought it up to the boil, it's all going nicely, put the lid on your fry pan, turn it to low heat, let that simmer away there for an hour or so, and you got an awesome meal. Now because it burns my gut a little bit, to sort of stop that, I'll throw it onto a bed of rice. So I'm not eating a big lot of it. I'm just having a small portion on top and let the coconut milk go down into my rice. And man, that is a tasty, tasty meal. Awesome, dressed up with that bit of yogurt on top. So there you go, there's 2 meals to get you started with. I hope I've helped someone out. That's my intention with this video. Share my experience with trying to get rid of indigestion or help it somewhat. So yeah, if I've helped anyone out there, that'd be awesome. All right, now it's time for me to head back out into the bush and go and sit on the log where the snake is and finish up this video. Taking processed foods out of my diet has certainly had a big impact on how my body copes with this indigestion. Now, I'm not 100% cured, I'm about 90% cured. There'll always be that little bit there, I guess. Just every now and then something will upset me and we'll get a bit of gas, a little bit of pain, but I can deal with that now. And also, you know, taking sugar out of my diet, I can really see the benefits a lot. When I come home from work sometimes, I just get this overwhelming feeling of wanting to have a cat nap. It was, not very nice. But that's gone. And I put it down to quite possibly getting rid of sugar out of my diet, or as much as possible anyway. And also, sometimes I go out with the family, come home late at night, forget to brush my teeth. Normally I would wake up in the morning and they'd feel horribly furry, yucky. And I could scrape my teeth and get some gunk off them. It wasn't very nice. And when I do brush my teeth, I'd get a little bit of blood as well. So not very nice neither. Could never get rid of that. But now, sugar out of my diet, those two are gone. I wake up in the morning, if I haven't brushed my teeth, they're not furry. And when I brush my teeth, there is no blood. Amazing. It's just amazing how much sugar we put into our bodies. We sort of know about it, but we blindly go about eating all these processed foods, ton of sugar in them, ton of salt in them, preservatives, and they play havoc with our bodies. Everyone gets affected differently. For me, it just kept that indigestion burning along. Mincemeat was an absolute killer for me. Send me into turmoil. I had a hamburger probably, well, when was that? Probably about 4 months ago now, just before Christmas. And wow, I went into meltdown. It took me all the way back to the start. So good, over 12 months of this good diet just went out the window, and it took me, not quite 2 weeks, but close to it to get back to normal. So getting the processed foods out of your diet, you'll notice some huge benefits. If you'd like to get more of this amazing stuff, click on my pretty little face just down here in the bottom right hand corner of this screen. Click on the bell, you'll get notification whenever I do anything else. And if you like this video, please, if you can be bothered, click the like button. It'll help my channel grow, and I really would appreciate that. It'd be awesome. And if you want to go and have a look at all the things I've been doing in the past, click on my other icon right here at the end of this video, take it to my channel, where I don't talk about my indigestion at all. It's more about me practicing. Making a wildlife documentary is what my channel is all about. I talk about photography, photographing and filming in a forest environment, give you tips there. I also buy equipment and I'll review it and give you my honest opinion on them. So go and have a browse, there'll be something there of interest to you, I am sure. Now just remember, if you don't do, you don't get. So get out there and start photographing and filming wildlife, and I'll catch you on the next one.